Listening to Chatcast with your host, Tracee Dunblazier, the award-winning podcast that features interviews with luminaries of the mind-body-spirit marketplace. You'll hear from book authors and publishers, store owners and product creators, filmmakers, musicians, and many more, who'll all share insight and wisdom to help open your eyes to new creative possibilities. If you fancy yourself as a visionary thinker, then Chatcast is the place for you. Now, here's your host, spiritual empath, shaman, and best-selling author, Tracee Dunblazier.
Hello there. This is Tracee Dunblazier with Chatcast, and I think that was my that was my introduction on drugs. I don't know how it occurred to you, but it was playing twice, overlapping here on our end. So, okay, it's a great start to a great morning, and I have an amazing guest, which I'm very excited to introduce to you today. Her name is Skarlet Luthienne Realta, and she's the founder of Skolomanche, Academy of HyperDimensional Soul Magic. That is an internationally acclaimed. She's also an internationally acclaimed author, mentor, and speaker. And she's been featured on TV, film, radio, worldwide. Skarlet invites you to adventure with her into the wild, magical terrain of the hyperdimensional soul to become what you may think is possible. So everybody, welcome Skarlet. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you, Tracee.
I love it when the day starts out with a little surprise.
Yeah, well, we're talking about multi-dimensions here, so there you go. Let's get started with our hyperdimensional realm.
Exactly. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so Skolomanche, is that how you say it? Did I say it right?
You can say it Skolomanche. We tend to call it Skolomanche.
Okay, I thought that too, so I just picked one. Okay, Skolomanche. What does that word mean?
Well, it's so interesting that you should actually ask that question. It actually comes from ancient Transylvania, would you believe? So, it was originally many thousands of years ago. It was a school under the mountains in Skolomanche. So we're going back under the mountains in Transylvania. So we're going back in myth and legend here.
Okay.
And prior to all sorts of organized theology and religion coming in, we're going back to the shamanic traditions where there were these characters called Hultans of the mountains who were like shaman priests, weather controlling, etc., etc. And they would identify people and take them, the people that they felt were, able to come into this school, which was an ancient school of magic. They would take them down underground and they would take them into this school where they would learn magic.
Wow.
However, what happened was, as many of these things do, different traditions and theologies and all sorts of people and organizations and structures moved in, and they changed up what it was all about. They rebranded it the Devil's School. They basically said, you go in there and you sell your soul to the devil and all this stuff, which of course, when you look back, it's very easy to understand why people think that when they're not coming from a completely quantum perspective and they believe the devil is something outside of them rather than their own internal process that's challenging them from within. So so that's where it comes from. So it literally is a name that encompasses in its tradition an ancient school of magic. So I took it 10 years ago now.
Right.
Tweak to the spelling of it.
Okay.
So it's the ancient school reborn in its new hyperdimensional form.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Now, is when you say hyperdimensional,
yes,
what exactly does that mean?
So if you were to think about your soul as an interface between the avatar that I might call Skarlet, you might call Tracee, running around on planet Earth, let's say, that comes with for amazing things. And then the soul is the interface between that and the incredible spirit essence that you actually are, which of course is this hyper intelligent field of whatever you want to call that, consciousness, knowledge. People have termed it many, many different things. If you're looking at it through pure quantum eyes, they'll call it the field, and then dive into things like the vacuum. If you look at it in, you know, other people might say, oh, well, let's start talking about Akashic records and all this kind of stuff. So effectively, though, if you really were to simplify it, if you see there is a field that exists on every single level and plane and possibility that you can imagine and you can't imagine, you are part of that field that is eternal and never dies. And you then shape and take on lots of different form to experience, or you could imagine that that field is having experience through you as an avatar. So what hyperdimensional is, as far as we're concerned at Skolomanche, is the soul is the interface. Now that soul has like an inordinate number of experiences. We are very much trained to think, oh, they were like past lives or future lives, or you know, different dimensions. But what if they're all occurring at once? And what if that which you think was in the past, that which you think could be in the future, and that which is happening on all sorts of different levels and dimensions and possibilities, and you in different forms, what if you could access all of that now and unite that power in each into one single avatar, Tracee, Skarlet, and actually from that place start actually creating and experience extraordinary magic? That's what we're talking about here with hyperdimensional soul magic.
Wonderful. I love it. And no better time than now.
Exactly. And I will say, you know, for me personally, if you'd asked me, if you told me 18 years ago that I would have been sitting here with you now, actually talking about a school of hyperdimensional soul magic and all the things I experienced, I would have laughed you in the face, because at that time I was a trader and in financial software in London. So my own journey was extraordinary, because I was catapulted in a classic, you know, Matrix red pill moment, you could say, to suddenly experience and realize that we are this incredible multi-dimensional being, you could say, that is actually operating on so many different levels at once. So my own journey was a bit of a crazy roller coaster to actually understand this. And in fact, an author will understand this completely. One of the first things that happened to me was that this whole story dropped through. I started to write it, and literally the characters and the events and everything in the story became real immediately. And that's when my first moment, you could say, of starting to realize, whoa, hang on just a minute, we are not the person that we think we are. And in fact, we're not even the many people that we think we are. We are powerful magic that can actually conjure and create our reality in the most extraordinary way, when we are prepared to totally open and let go and actually go on this crazy ride.
Yes. Well, so that's really interesting. So where does fear sit in all of that for you?
I love the fact you asked that question. Because first of all,
a casual remark.
Yeah. Sets the magic author to the magic author. Totally acquainted with the hero's journey. So what I would say is a number of things, really. First of all, no magic happens inside our comfort zone. It just doesn't. So effectively, if you want to go on a journey with magic, the first thing you have to do is to be ready to let go of everything you ever thought you were, to let go of all of your ideas of what you think is possible and not possible, to initially say, okay, like I have this idea of what I'd love to become or what I'd love to experience, It's no good just having that idea. You've got to step into this being the thing that you think you're choosing. The moment you do that, you step so far out of your comfort zone. The first thing you're going to meet is a great fear around what it is that you think you're capable of what you're not capable of, all the incredible like challenges and stuff that get thrown at us in that moment. And of course, part of that journey is you've got to switch your thinking from, oh my gosh, there's this great, challenge and opponent and stuff that's showing up, to hang on a minute, what if I'm creating something that is a phenomenal gauntlet to get me to step into a great version of what I can be? So for me personally, fear is our very best friend. It's the thing that actually acts. If you look at all, as you well know, if you look at all amazing stories, whether you watch them in a movie or you read them and you love them, the character, the main hero, goes on a classic journey, character arc, and the more you can pull an elastic band and make that journey incredible, the more powerful the story becomes. So in other words, the greater the fear they have to confront, the greater the challenges, the more ingenious and intelligent and amazing those opponents are, the more fabulous and magical that person is going to become. So fear then becomes the very tool that you can actually use and wield in incredible ways to actually get you from here to here.
So fear is the threshold.
Exactly. It's like a gate. It's a gateway.
You walk through. Jen comments here that she's worked with you for several years and that she's had to walk through fear many times to meet the power in herself. And I think that's exactly it. It's the point at which you're like, fuck it.
That's it.
Cable, social media.
Exactly.
And that you really have to be to that place where you have to just surrender everything that you fear, everything that you think, everything that you want, the expectations that you have, to move forward in it, whatever it is going to be.
Exactly. And the key thing is, like in Skolomanche, we dive into, funny enough, in our first year-long program, because we have 3 year-long programs, fear is one particular module, partway down in the first one. Yes. When you start to strip away the idea of fear and you come back to what your body's doing, you'll be absolutely amazed when you then step from I'm desperately fearful into I'm desperately excited. Your body does exactly the same thing. Fear, believe it or not, has the most incredible power within it that unlocks superhuman capability.
Yeah.
And it actually puts you through a physiological gauntlet to actually, if you're prepared to step into it, it's extraordinary what actually happens to you on a physiological basis and how your body uploads itself. It upgrades itself to be able to actually not just confront more, but to be able to do more. And it very much anchors you much deeper into this idea that I can make anything possible, actually.
Right. Absolutely. That's wonderful. So I have a question. So you have a retail store where you live. Is that correct? Not where you live, but in your hometown. That's part of your work is retail?
No, we don't. No, we don't retail. So what we do is, so I mentor a handful of individuals, but I have the academy, Skolomanche, is online, so our students are all over the world. And then I write. So basically, they're the 3 things that I do. And
got it.
The writing has been, I've written many, many, many books now. As you know, writing this big 9-book series, which has never, ever ceased to amaze me. How as soon as I start writing, I don't know if you have this, Tracee, it's like, the more you can show up and open yourself, the more profound the thing that's moving through you actually occurs. And like, as I say, my introduction to magic, and magic that is accessible across many dimensions and realities pulled into one, initially started through the power of words, which is where very first understood, words are not just things that you think and you speak. They quite literally conjure reality into being.
They're carriers.
And I've never, ever stopped experiencing that as I write, that writing becomes real, and then it puts me on a crazy journey, and it's just quite extraordinary. But so we do, that said, we do have things that within the academy, we actually, that people buy, only because you're mentioning retail, that people do actually buy inside the academy and stuff, but it's all connected to the magical practices that we actually put in place inside the academy, which are all about you creating your own reality through the eyes of both the alchemist, the magician, and then what we call the contrarian. So it's looking at you, the individual, and you that is much greater than an individual. You're actually a walking, talking, living legend. How can Bruce Wayne can accomplish so much? Batman, that's another story altogether. And then we go to the contrarian level, which is the game itself. So yeah.
Okay. So how did you begin in all of this? Like, what was your awakening or birthing into this?
When I was a tiny girl, I used to be able to hear what people were thinking. I could see things before they were happening, all this kind of stuff. And around the age of 3.5, a series of things happened, which meant I shut it down like that. I personally believe that most people have this experience, and then we shut it down. It's like the old bow and arrow effect. If you want to shoot your arrow into the target, you need to pull the bow in the opposite direction for a while to load the power. Then boom, you hit the target. So I shut it down for a long time, and then went into, as I say, I was in financial trading, I was in derivatives trading and stuff, and then financial software. So I had a very super grounded career. And then basically I kept trying to suppress the stuff that was still trying to throw itself in my face. I was like, no. Until in 2005, 2006, where in Scotland and Ireland, a whole heap of stuff happened that literally, like I said, it was like a huge matrix red pill moment. For anyone who is listening or watching this who has watched The Matrix and knows that movie, obviously Neo wakes up to a dystopia. Well, I did not wake up to dystopia. What I woke up to in that moment was, excuse my language, but we're okay. Holy shit. This is the universe, the world, reality is magical, and everything is alive and talking to me. So this was all the way back in 2006. I did the classic hero, like tried to resist the journey for a bit, and then between Scotland and Ireland, and then when I came back from Ireland, there was no choice but to go on this journey. It caused me to radically change my life at that time, and it took an enormous amount of courage to actually step onto that journey because of everything that you have to leave behind to follow that journey, if that makes sense. So, and I'm sure lots of people listening understand this. However, there was something so deep in me that it was almost like I had no choice. I had to do it. All this absolutely crazy stuff started happening to me, which I won't go into now because I could spend forever talking about that, which culminated very fast within a few weeks of this story dropping in one night. This was the very first ever story that dropped in. I sort of the night, next morning got up, thought, what the heck was that? I don't even recognize a lot of those words. Started to write it in full, and that story materialized. The people, the characters, everything started to show up. I then got asked to go to Australia and do a bunch of stuff out there. So as I went out there, like I was meeting these incredible people for this next year, mystics from the mountains, neurolinguists, amazing, I would say really progressive, like quantum physicists, really leading edge field physicists, people like Bruce Lipton, Lynn McTaggart. She's a gorgeous person, by the way. Her husband all these different, like, amazing people, and they were all starting to say to me, how is it that what you're writing, and by then it was like what I was thinking and what I was speaking, is just becoming real? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how this is happening. And it was wild what was going on. It was like crazy, like moment to moment. It was just happening so fast.
Right.
But what was happening is, I mean, sort of historians, archaeologists, all sorts of people, inadvertently, unbeknown to them and me, actually, they were all starting to give me little pieces of incredible information that I was starting to piece together like a jigsaw puzzle. To realize, my gosh, we are extraordinary. There's no way that any one of us is a victim to a life. We are the powerful conjurer of our world, of our reality. This was all the way back in 2006, 2007.
Right.
So this is what started me off. And then for the next number of years, the craziest journey unfolded, which was honestly so completely wild, which, funny enough, it took me to all the way through to being asked by Warner's wanted to turn a trilogy that I'd written into a trilogy of movies. They thought it was the next Lord of the Rings. So it got me out to LA actually back in 2013. And it was because of, and I'm skipping so much that happened in between, but at that point when I was actually last in LA, I confronted and met, in essence, the part of me that had massively resisted my magic all the way along, because I believe we all do this. Like, in everyone that I have met anyway, I feel that the thing that we most resist is not what we can't do. It's actually what we can do. That's what we're most fit of. So I actually journeyed through something extraordinary, which actually finally at that point, people had been asking me for a very long time, will you set up an academy? And I was like, no. And I was speaking to thousands of people and doing lots of events and all sorts of stuff all over the world and being on TV and everything else. I was like, no. But finally after that, I came back and I said, okay, I will actually do it. I personally have had, I spoke about HyperDimensional. I have actually myself had experiences of journeying on lots of different dimensions of reality where I have remembered. I would say we are all born of this extraordinary magic. We just forgot. And so the remembering is literally the putting back together of the magic you forgot you already had. So I was journeying on lots of different levels to experience this. And come the 2013, 2015 actually, was when I finally agreed, okay, I will deliver Skolomanche. And that was, it was on the basis that I wanted to walk an adventure with lots of incredible people who were looking to adventure their own magic too, which is where Skolomanche is going to be. But I could honestly speak to you for hours and hours and hours. Reams of stuff around, all the bits in between. But what I will say is this, in essence, really simply put, you could line up everyone on planet Earth and they could all tell me magic's not real, and I'll laugh them in the face. And my simple answer would be this: if you believe magic's not real, it will not be real for you. And ultimately, the difference between what is real and what is an illusion is all in your mind. And the power is in your mind. I'm not talking about your brain mind or even your heart mind. I'm talking in the place where they meet. Is in your true living mind. You've got over 80 trillion cells. Each one of them has got its own mind, chatting away to the universe. You are profoundly magical. And when you remember that and claim that back, you can make anything happen. So that's been my own journey, in a nutshell.
I love it. Well, that is a perfect place to end. Where can people find you online? Where can they find Skolomanche?
Oh, so we have a website, skolomanche.world, which typically is where people would come and find us. We haven't yet, but we're going to be actually opening up a few different social media channels for Skolomanche. But it's tended to always be, to be honest, it's tended to always be word of mouth. That's how people have always tended to find us. As you know, I'm going to be at the Conscious Life Expo. But yes, we will be opening up from early next year a YouTube channel that's going to be a prolific resource of stuff as well that people can come and actually find and follow. It'll be very interactive.
Wonderful. So you're going to be at the Conscious Life Expo, which is going to be February 7th, 8th, and 9th. And what day is your lecture and or workshop? What can you give us a schedule and a booth number off the cuff?
Yes, I think my booth number is 357. We're on the main hall, top left-hand side. It'll be highly interactive on the stand. You'll be able to come along there, do a quiz there, which you'll find out just how connected to your magic you are right now, and steps to actually go further. We're doing all sorts of giveaways and prizes, and it'll be really fun on the booth. And then I am doing a talk on the Sunday at 2:00, I think it is, Sunday. So yeah, which will be diving into a deeper level of what hyperdimensional soul magic is all about and how to start making your own, basically.
Yes. Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you so much. Please stay backstage because I want to chat with you after. And thank you very much. We loved having you and hearing all your good news. And everybody, thank you so much. Make sure to go to skolomanche.world. I'm Tracee Dunblazier. I'm the president of the Coalition of Visionary Resources, and Go Tracee Publishing and Cover will also both be at the Conscious Life Expo in the lower level plaza, LL3 and LL4. So definitely come by and see us if you're a creator. Sign up for Cover. It's a great organization, and you can see all of the books and things that Go Tracee I've created and that I share at Go Tracee Publishing. And we're also doing lectures as well. So you'll want to make sure to get your ticket at consciouslifeexpo.com. And thank you so much for being with us here today. It's been a real pleasure to see you.